All right. Good morning to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, also co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thanks so much for joining us wherever you're watching from. As of last weekend, the 2025 edition of the Washington Auto Show kicked off at Walter E. Washington Convention Center here in the nation's capital. And today, we're heading towards the tail end of that said show, but we also have a special guest on tap for you guys to talk about this year's show. Just a little info about today's guest. He is the president and CEO of the Washington Area New Automobile Dealers Association, otherwise known as WNADA, as well as the president and CEO of the Washington Auto Show. It is my pleasure to welcome onto the show, John O'Donnell. Let me get him on now. John, hello.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me, Brandon. That was quite a build-up. I hope I live up to your expectations.
Absolutely. I definitely believe you will. So just to start off first, congratulations with the public policy day that happened last week. And for those of you that are not aware out there of what public policy day is, basically for those that are leaders in the automotive industry space, as well as government officials, are able to meet, in one said space to be able to not only reflect on the current state of the auto sector, but also the and future initiatives, if you will, that affect that said industry. So with that in mind, John, I'm curious to know, is it lost on you? Because I understand that this show is the public policy show among your contemporaries in that auto show space. Is it lost on you the impact in which that responsibility has in the overall industry?
No, not at all. In fact, quite the opposite. We have sought out the moniker and niche of being the public policy auto show for very obvious reasons. The policymakers, the regulators, the rule makers, the rule writers, and decision makers are all right here in our backyard. And as we enter the age of connected cars, autonomous cars, different power trains and energy sources and technologies, all those decisions need to be made, certainly here for our continent, but also globally. So we want to have interaction with the people that are going to be deciding what we're driving, everybody. So we enjoy having members of Congress, presidential cabinets, the leaders of the various regulatory agencies come and look at all of the product that the various manufacturers make for you and I.
All right, excellent. So with that in mind, oftentimes when we've had folks on the show that are leading the way when it comes to expo, convention, what have you, it's always fascinating to know the nuts and bolts that goes into putting that said show together. So I'm curious, with that in mind, when it comes to the Washington Auto Show, for those that are watching out there, could you share with them, briefly of what that looks like? Does that preparation start immediately? Give you an example, that Sunday following the end of 2024 show for this show, or are the wheels already turning, so to speak, during that said show to prepare for this current one? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I hope your viewers know that this was not a setup. I literally 5 minutes before coming on your show was sending out a pre-planning meeting for next year's show. This show has become so important to the industry that we have to plan it 365 days a year. So this show is not yet complete. It'll end on Super Bowl Sunday, but we're already thinking about next year and how to make it bigger, better, and have a larger impact for the whole industry.
All right, excellent, excellent. And to discuss that further, and talking about just on that same track, the can you talk a bit about how difficult it can be a lot of times in terms of in that preparation phase, deciding or trying to make a decision on what elements you're going to include in the show to properly illustrate those trends and innovations that are coming to the forefront for that said year? And is it sometimes difficult to decide, like, okay, this is not going to make it, or this will make it into the show? Oh, we lost you there for a second. Okay, we lost Mr. O'Donnell there just for a second. We'll give him a moment to come back on. Let's see here. I'll let him know here that we lost him just for a second. I'm going to give him a moment to make his way back on. Just for a second. So yes, we're here talking the 2025 Washington Auto Show, and again, great pleasure to have the president and CEO of the show, John O'Donnell, on. Give him a second to make his way back on. I know we had a slight glitch there on his end, but I know we were just talking about just that idea. All right, good. You heard
Can you
me?
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
Me to repeat the last question, or so the question was, uh, in terms of that preparation stage, can it be challenging to be able to determine what elements are going to be incorporated in a given show to properly highlight what those trends and innovations are in that said show?
That's actually a great question given the change in administration that we had approximately 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
The Biden administration was heavily pushing electric vehicles
sure.
through subsidy and, frankly, allowing California to dictate to the manufacturers what they could make and if they didn't, how they would be punished. Today, we realize that uh, those who want a pure electric vehicle likely already have one. We're seeing a trend through a series of different data analytics that those who purchase a pure electric vehicle do not go back and purchase a second. They kind of take a step back to a battery electric hybrid. I think the trend that you're going to see for the next several years is going to be consumer choice, market driven consumer choice, rather than government imposed selection for consumers. We weren't really, under the Biden administration, going to have the ability to indefinitely purchase what we wanted. I think what you're seeing now is the implementation of returning choice to the consumer. If you want an ICE car, you'll be able to get that. They won't be made illegal. If you want a battery electric hybrid, which is what I drive, I believe that's probably the best solution for the environment, for our economy, and reliability. You can have that. Many manufacturers have battery electric hybrids. And if you want a pure EV and you don't already have one, there's certainly plenty out there. And representing more than 220 dealers in the Washington, D.C. market, I can tell you they are eager to help you get into an electric vehicle because they have so many at this point. The other factors implement or affecting affordability are interest rates. Uh, 7% is not the end of the world, but I think the United States is used to interest rates somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.5, maybe 4%. And those few percentage points translate into a lot of dollars for consumers. Right now, the average payment is $753 a month. That's not very affordable for most Americans. We need to do something to get that down. And the current administration believes that choice is the way to do that.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And we just you just commenting on just the concept of trends, current trends that we're seeing now, and commenting on EVs, and we also have connectivity that we have among vehicles. So I'm curious in terms of those innovations and trends that we have going into this year. What are the ones that you are most excited about, and have they lived up to your expectation thus far?
So that's a great question. There's 5 levels of autonomous driving. Level 5 is defined as capable of driving anywhere at any time under any set of conditions. What that means is uh, the middle of the night in a snowstorm, your level 5 autonomous car is capable of getting you home safely. The reason I explain that is these various safety features that comprise autonomous driving and connected car driving, they're going into mainstream cars right now, and most people don't realize it. The vehicles behind me, they all have various levels of autonomy, but you as a consumer don't necessarily understand that that's what you're purchasing because you can't see it. Where you see it is in the various features. Uh, uh, Lane departure, for example. Most people at this point are familiar with the concept of lane departure. Well, that's a feature of autonomous driving. So you literally have to go to each manufacturer and talk to them, or a local dealer, and say, hey, I'm interested in the latest technology. Can you talk to me about safety features that your vehicle offers? There's also the issue of telematics. So think of your Apple CarPlay and all of their competitors. Those are also features that we're going to see more and more of. The concept is that eventually, when cars are truly driverless, and you, as the passenger, formerly the driver, have a lot of time on your hands inside the vehicle, you'll be able to turn your windshield into a screen, watch a movie, or maybe you're going to do some shopping on Amazon.com. These are all very viable technologies that are in the works right now. And over the next decade, will be slowly dripped into the vehicles, manufacturer by manufacturer, model by model, to the point where they become commonplace. There's a lot of that technology here at the Washington, D.C. Auto Show right now. You also get into various fuel technologies. Hydrogen fuel cell is the next evolution. I know we're always talking about electric vehicles, but they say hydrogen is where it's at because the byproduct that comes out of the tailpipe is literally water. So that's about as clean a technology as you can get. The issues and challenges there are that the molecules are so small, they have trouble keeping them in the tank. They're actually smaller than the COVID molecule, I'm told.
Okay, well, to speak further on that idea of how we've progressed technologically, last month I was in Vegas for CES, and it's crazy to see where we are in terms of our technology. It's fascinating in some ways and scary in some ways too. So, you know, in talking about just what you were saying in terms of a given situation that could be ideal for a given consumer, that also brings into consideration how consumers are buying their vehicles. And while there is a component now where where there are digital methods in which you can do so, I feel intrinsically that you still can't replace that old fashioned way of being able to touch, feel, and see it. So could you comment on that, on how on that progression where we have where people can get things digitally, but in some cases you really can't replace that hands-on experience and even the interaction that you have between yourself and the seller.
Great question, and it's a real problem and a real issue. Most people come to auto shows because they don't want to be bothered by a salesperson. They want a product specialist that's simply going to tell them about the vehicle. So it's a great place to educate a consumer about the latest technology. Many manufacturers watched Tesla early on and said, we want to be like them so that our share price will increase. There's a fascination with the direct to consumer model. Well, now what everybody is realizing is you can't carry out a vehicle transaction solely on the internet. You can advertise there, you can carry out elements of the transaction on the internet, but most people for a major purchase want to know exactly what they're getting. They want to come and see the car, sit in the car, drive the car, so that they're satisfied with what they have taken on in terms of a debt. Most people have a payment. Here at the Washington, D.C. Auto Show, we have brands like Lucid. Well, they're direct to consumer. They believe in digital. Why are they here? Because they know where the consumers are. Tesla, they're here in force offering ride and drives. They have vehicles on exhibition as well. It's the same thing. They have realized that they need to be in front of the consumer in the real world. That's where the consumer wants to close the deal. They'll do their research online, but they're going to purchase in person.
Gotcha. And I'll close our interview with this because this is always a fun question. And you commented on it a little earlier of how early that preparation goes. Is there any downtime to be able to enjoy the show in and of itself? And I'm sure you enjoy the show, but more so in terms of turning off, you know, the producer hat, if you will, with the show and enjoying it as a person who's just, you know, there at the show to enjoy.
No. No, it's a passion I have. I
Sure,
really
yeah.
enjoy it. I
I was gonna
love it.
say fun work, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. But no, I'm always on, so to speak. I know that many people come and enjoy themselves, and I want that to happen. So I try to make sure they have a good experience. I the opportunity I have is when I go to competitive auto shows.
Gotcha. Well, John, thank you so much. I won't keep you. Appreciate you, you know, spending some time with us over here at Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Uh, for those of you out there, we have the Washington Auto Show. It is concluding as of Super Bowl Sunday, as John said. So make sure if you haven't already to check out the show. John, thank you so much. And with that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there and see you guys soon. Bye now.
Thank you very much, Brandon. I appreciate it. WashingtonAutoShow.com.
There you go.